This is the second video in the series on the search functionality, the first being Deploying Elasticsearch on PeopleTools 856. This video, titled Administering PeopleSoft Search Framework, attempts to guide you on administering the PeopleSoft Search Framework and monitoring the Elasticsearch cluster. This video presumes that you have installed PeopleTools 856, installed Elasticsearch, and integrated PeopleSoft and Elasticsearch via a search instance, as described in the Deploying Elasticsearch in PeopleTools 856 video. This video will cover managing search instances, different types of search definitions, the indexing process, failover mechanism from PeopleSoft Search Framework, and monitoring an Elasticsearch cluster in Health Center. You'll find sources of additional information at the end of this presentation. This includes information about Elasticsearch documentation and accessing the Elasticsearch Spotlight Series videos. In this Spotlight series, we'll cover the following topics. To begin with, we'll go through a brief overview of the search framework and the various tasks that need to be completed to get your search functionality up and running. A search instance integrates the Elasticsearch search engine with PeopleSoft Search Framework. In the Managing a Search Instance topic, we'll discuss the various improvements associated with search instance that are introduced in PeopleTools 856. This topic will not discuss the steps to create a search instance because the instructions on creating a search instance are discussed in the Deploying Elasticsearch on PeopleTools 856 video. In the Search Definitions and Categories topic, we'll briefly discuss the different types of search definitions available in PeopleSoft Search Framework and the pages that you would use to deploy the search definitions and categories. In the Indexing Search Data topic, we'll discuss the indexing process and the enhancements in PeopleTools 856 to improve the indexing performance. In addition to the Elasticsearch features that provide high availability, PeopleSoft Search Framework also provides redundancy. In the Failover Mechanism in Search Framework topic, we'll discuss the failover mechanism available in PeopleSoft Search Framework. PeopleSoft Health Center enables you to monitor the health of your Elasticsearch cluster. We'll discuss the dashboards for cluster and node and briefly discuss the various parameters that are monitored. And the final topic, Additional Information, lists the resources for more information about PeopleSoft Search Framework and Elasticsearch. Let's begin with a brief overview of PeopleSoft Search Framework. The PeopleSoft Search Framework provides a standard declarative method for creating, deploying, and maintaining search indexes for all of your PeopleSoft applications. In PeopleTools 856, PeopleSoft Search Framework uses Elasticsearch as the search engine. The PeopleSoft Search Framework includes pages and records that provide a centralized interface to create a search instance that provides connectivity between PeopleSoft Search Framework and search engine, to create search definitions and search categories and deploy search definitions and categories, to build and maintain search indexes, and to search content using global search and search pages. The PeopleSoft Search Framework provides two activity guides to complete the tasks to set up your search functionality: Search Designer and Search Administrator. We'll discuss these in detail later in this presentation. Let's consider a typical process flow in PeopleSoft Search Framework. You use the standard PeopleSoft query design tools, Query and Connected Query, to create a query. A query defines the scope of the application data to be indexed. The data returned by the query serves as the source data that the search engine crawls to create the search index. Please refer to the Query Online Help for instructions on creating a query. At this point, it is important to note that PeopleSoft Search Framework provides different types of search definitions, and not all of them are based on query or connected query. Later in this presentation, we'll discuss the different types of search definitions. After you've created a query, You create a search definition using the search query as a base. Additionally, you'll also specify the necessary attributes for the search definition. You also need to create a search category, which is a logical grouping of search definitions. The Search Designer Activity Guide enables you to create search definitions and search categories. The next step is to establish connectivity between PeopleSoft Search Framework and search engine, and in this case, it is the Elasticsearch search engine. A search instance establishes connectivity between Search Framework and search engine. In this presentation, we presume that you've installed Elasticsearch. The installation of Elasticsearch is described in the Deploying Elasticsearch in PeopleTools 856 Spotlight Series video. This presentation also presumes that you've configured Integration Gateway on your PeopleSoft system correctly. As described in the Deploying Elasticsearch in PeopleTools 856 video, you may create a search instance using the Automated Configuration Manager or ACM. Alternatively, you can create a search instance using the Search Administration Activity Guide. On the Search Admin Activity Guide, you use the search instance task under Configuration. Having completed the task of integrating PeopleSoft Search Framework and Search Engine, you can now complete the next tasks where you use the search definitions and search categories, which you created using the Search Designer Activity Guide. For the next tasks, you use the administration group of the Search Admin Activity Guide. Deploy search definitions and categories. In this task, the search definitions and search categories are deployed to the search engine so that the search engine can create the structure of the search index based on the search definition. At this stage, a deployed search definition has a structure but no searchable data. The Deploying Elasticsearch on PeopleTools 856 video describes how you can automate the deploying of search definitions using the ACM template or search_template. Alternatively, you can also use the Deploy Search Definition and Deploy Search Category tasks under Administration. PeopleTools 856 Search Technology Online Help contains detailed description on deploying search definitions and categories. Create index schedule for each search definition and run the index build process. In this task, the search engine crawls the application data specified by the query criteria of a search definition and builds the index with searchable data. In PeopleTools 856, enhancements have been made to the indexing process to improve performance. These improvements are discussed later in this presentation. PeopleSoft Search Framework supports full indexing and incremental indexing. A full index crawls all transactional data specified by the query criteria and builds the entire index. This option requires the most time. This option should be selected the first time an index is built. An incremental index updates the existing index and adds only documents associated with rows that have been added or updated since the last index build or update. It also removes rows that have become obsolete or are deleted from the PeopleSoft data. To keep the search indexes current, you need to schedule regular search index builds of type incremental index. The Deploying Elasticsearch on PeopleTools 856 video describes how you can automate the building of an index using the ACM template or search_template. The ACM template by default creates two run control IDs for indexing, one of type full index and the other of type incremental index. Alternatively, you can use the schedule search index task under Administration to build an index. On this page, you need to manually create the run control IDs with the necessary indexing type of full index or incremental index. PeopleTools 856 Search Technology Online Help contains detailed description on building search indexes in the Working with Search Indexes topic. Monitor Index Run Schedule. You use the Process Monitor page to monitor the index build process. PeopleSoft Search Framework provides different options to troubleshoot the indexing process, which are discussed later in this presentation. After completing the tasks of deploying and building the search index, which are typically done by the search administrator, the search functionality can accept search requests from end users. Search Framework provides two interfaces for end users: Global Search and Search Pages. Global Search. This provides users a global search icon appearing in the header of the PeopleSoft browser session. Clicking the global search icon launches the global search bar, where users can select relevant search categories against which to run searches. The global search feature allows users to search and drill down to a specific row of data or transaction from the search results. Search Pages. In Fluid User Interface, keyword and real-time component search are available. Keyword search is also available in some classic components. While you use the global search box for keyword search, you can configure a tile to launch search in a component. While keyword search is against a search engine index, the real-time search is either configured using Pivot Grid or a component search record. Please refer to the Fluid User Interface Developer's Guide online help for instructions on creating search pages, and also refer to the Pivot Grid online help for creating real-time component search. We will now discuss a search instance, which is the integration point between PeopleSoft and the Elasticsearch search engine. In the Deploying Elasticsearch in PeopleTools 856 video, we discussed the use of a search instance and how it is created. In this presentation, we assume that you are familiar with the working of a search instance. So here, we'll discuss the options available on the search instance properties page. To recap, a search instance represents an instance of the search engine, in this case, Elasticsearch. A search instance integrates PeopleSoft and the Elasticsearch search engine. Automated Configuration Manager enables you to automate the creating of a search instance through the ACM template or the search_template template. Alternatively, you can use the Search Admin Activity Guide to manually create a search instance. Please refer to the 856 Search Technology online help for instructions on creating a search instance, or view the Deploying Elasticsearch in PeopleTools 856 video. In the Deploying Elasticsearch in PeopleTools 856 video, we discussed Elasticsearch Cluster. As a recap, when you install Elasticsearch, the installation process creates a cluster which can have multiple nodes. On the PeopleSoft side, you create a search instance to integrate with the Elasticsearch search engine. You must ensure that the nodes that are part of the Elasticsearch cluster are added to the corresponding search instance. If you add a new node to the Elasticsearch cluster, you must add the node to the corresponding search instance in the Search Instance Properties section. Similarly, if you remove a node, ensure that you remove the node from the search instance. Oracle PeopleSoft recommends that node information in the cluster is updated on the search instance because Search Framework supports high availability through the nodes in a search instance. That is, if a node fails for any reason, the searches are pointed to the next active node in the search instance. Later in this presentation, we'll discuss about the high availability feature provided by Search Framework. Follow these steps to add a new node to the search instance. Step 1. In the Search Instance Properties section, click the plus sign. Step 2. Enter values for the fields in the section. Step 3. Use the ping, test login, and proxy login buttons to ensure that the node is configured correctly. To remove a node, click the minus sign. The Search Instance Properties page contains information related to the search engine provider, callback properties, etc. In addition to these, the Search Instance Properties page also enables you to configure certain options that are based on a search instance. For example, you can configure search options or interact with Elasticsearch search engine. The search options page is used to set global settings which are associated with a search instance. If you need to edit any of the values, you may bring up the search options page from the search instance properties page. You may also access the search options page through the search admin activity guide. To access this page, select the search options task under Administration. Later in this presentation, we'll discuss the search options page, especially the new settings that have been introduced to support the implementation of the Elasticsearch search engine and the new direct transfer technology. Elasticsearch Interact page. Elasticsearch provides several REST APIs that can be used to obtain details of a cluster or index in the PeopleSoft implementation. In the absence of a default user interface to administer Elasticsearch, PeopleSoft provides a user interface called Elasticsearch Interact. This enables you to choose the cluster and index level options on which you want to obtain information from the Elasticsearch search engine. The Elasticsearch Interact page is accessible from the Search Instance Properties page, and it provides administration requests only for those cluster and index validations that are exposed by PeopleSoft. Cluster. This option enables you to retrieve information related to the Elasticsearch cluster, such as health of cluster, indices, nodes, etc. Count. This option enables you to retrieve the number of indexed documents related to search definitions. Mapping. This option enables you to retrieve the attribute mapping information related to search definitions. Search. This option enables you to retrieve actual application data. Based on the options you select, an appropriate Elasticsearch command or REST URL is formed, which is submitted to Elasticsearch, and the response from the Elasticsearch search engine is displayed as is on the Elasticsearch Interact page. You should note that the Elasticsearch command points to the node when the URL is formed. The node represents the value entered in the hostname field in the Search Instance Properties section. Please refer to the 856 Search Technology Online Help for detailed information on each of these options. We will now discuss the types of search definitions. You use the Search Designer Activity Guide to create search definitions and categories. If you have used SES before, please note that the steps to create search definitions and categories are the same. PeopleSoft enables you to create 4 types of search definitions based on the data source: PeopleSoft Query, Connected Query, Web, and File. PeopleSoft Query or Connected Query. To define the PeopleSoft application data that end users can run their searches against, you can use these standard PeopleSoft query design tools: PeopleSoft Query and Connected Query. The data returned by the query you use serves as the source data that the search engine crawls to create the search index. Except for a handful of requirements for the search framework, queries used for creating search definitions are created exactly as you would any other query. Web. Web source definitions enable you to make the content of internal or external websites available for search engine crawling and inclusion in the search framework end user searches. File. File source definitions enable you to specify the location where external files reside in an accessible file system that you want to make available to the search engine crawling mechanism so that the end users can search the content of these files to support PeopleSoft applications. Examples of external file types that can be indexed include Microsoft Word and Excel documents, plain text documents, HTML files, and so on. A search definition maps the PeopleSoft query field's web source or file source to searchable attributes in the search engine. The search definition also enables you to attach security attributes to restrict access to the search results. A search definition can belong to one or more search categories. but it must belong to one search category with the same name as the search definition. Search categories are also created in Search Designer. A search category is essential in the search framework because search categories organize search definitions into manageable, logical groups of data. A search category can consist of one search definition or multiple search definitions. Search categories are required for searches. A search initiated by a user runs only against a search category, not search definitions. A search definition must be a member of a search category before it can be searched. Search categories improve search performance and results by limiting the number of indexes searched. For example, users can run searches against categories such as suppliers, purchase orders, or products rather than running a search against all indexes in the search engine. You select the category from the global search box. This presentation does not describe all the steps to create a search definition or search category. Please refer to the 856 Search Technology Online Help for detailed instructions. You use the Search Designer Activity Guide to create search definitions and search categories. The navigation to the respective pages is provided on the screen. Now let's discuss deploying search definitions and search categories. The Deploying Elasticsearch in PeopleTools 856 video describes automating the task of deploying search definitions and categories in Automated Configuration Manager by using the search_template configuration template. Specifically, you'll be using the Deploy Search Definition plugin to deploy search definitions. Alternatively, you can use the Deploy Search Definition and Deploy Search Category pages to deploy search definitions and categories manually. Please note that when you deploy a search definition, the search category of the same name is automatically deployed. On the Deploy Search Category page, the status of search categories that are automatically deployed is shown as auto-deployed. Also note that you need to deploy search categories covering multiple search definitions manually. Search Framework enables you to override some of the settings that you had specified on the Search Options page. The index settings link associated with each search definition enables you to map the search definition to a separate index if required and to override the number of shards and replicas that were specified on the Search Options page. If the data volume to be indexed is large, for example, if the data volume is greater than 100 megabytes, it's recommended to map a search definition to a separate index other than the default index. By mapping a search definition to a separate index, you can improve the overall performance for the search definition. The availability of the override option depends on whether a search definition is deployed or not. That is, if a search definition is deployed, you cannot override the settings except the number of replicas. Please refer to the 856 Search Technology Online Help for detailed information on which settings can be overridden. The Deploy Search Definition and Deploy Search Category pages also provide you options to manage your search definitions and categories. We'll now discuss the process of indexing search data in PeopleSoft Search Framework. Before end users can submit search requests against the search framework deployed objects, the search indexes must first be built on the search engine. Prior to the index being built, a deployed search definition is an empty shell containing no searchable data. A search index needs to be built for search definitions. You use the Schedule Search Index page under Administration to build search indexes. The navigation is PeopleTools, Search Framework, and then Search Admin Activity Guide. In the Indexing Search Data topic, we'll discuss the new direct transfer technology, the global settings related to Elasticsearch, the new indexing option within a date range to improve indexing performance, how to monitor a search indexing process, and how to troubleshoot any indexing errors. In PeopleTools 85517, and 856, the architecture of attachment processing has undergone a change. To enhance the performance of indexing search data, PeopleSoft introduced a new technology named Direct Transfer to transfer attachment data directly to the Elasticsearch search engine. The Direct Transfer technology bypasses the integration gateway. The Direct Transfer technology supports the search definitions that use query or connected query as a source. The Direct Transfer technology is applicable to PeopleTools 85517 and 85518 patches and from PeopleTools 85601 to 85603 patch. Search documents that do not have attachments are routed through the integration gateway to the Elasticsearch search server. Search Framework uses the technology called Direct Transfer to transfer the attachment data directly to the Elasticsearch search engine. The Direct Transfer technology bypasses the integration gateway. As shown on the diagram, documents with attachments are routed to Elasticsearch using the new technology, Direct Transfer. Documents without attachments are routed through the integration gateway. To further improve the indexing performance, PeopleSoft uses the full Direct Transfer technology to route all search documents with or without attachments to the Elasticsearch search engine. This is the default behavior in PeopleTools 85519 and later patches and 85604 and later patches. As shown on the diagram, by default, documents with or without attachments are routed to the Elasticsearch search engine using full Direct Transfer technology. If you want to transfer search documents without attachments through the integration gateway, you can do so by specifying the full Direct Transfer setting on the Search Options page. We'll discuss the setting later in this presentation. Continuing our presentation on Direct Transfer, let's discuss the options you need to configure so that you can use Direct Transfer effectively, including the system or memory usage considerations and how to handle errors, if any. On the Search Options page, new settings have been introduced for Direct Transfer. Let's discuss each of these settings. Enable Attachment Trace. The Enable Attachment Trace setting is used to enable the detailed logging of each task on the trace file. For Direct Transfer, you should set this property to Y if you want to troubleshoot any errors associated with the transfer of attachment data from PeopleSoft to Elasticsearch. Attachment Handlers. The number of attachment handlers determine how many parallel data transfers are done from PeopleSoft to Elasticsearch. The default value is 20, which means that during indexing, a maximum of 20 handlers are created. This number should be less than the bulk thread queue size on Elasticsearch. The default value of bulk thread queue size is 50. The optimal value of attachment handlers is dependent on the data volume, pattern, and system considerations on PeopleSoft and Elasticsearch. Max Attachment Error Count. The Max Attachment Error Count setting is used to determine the error tolerance of the indexing program. This setting is used to specify the maximum error transactions permitted during indexing. If during indexing, the number of error exceeds the specified value, the indexing process will exit after completing the process of sending data that is already available in memory. Please note that this setting is used in error handling, which is discussed later in this presentation. Full Direct Transfer. This setting is available in 85519 and later patches and 85604 and later patches. The default value is Y, that is, the search documents with or without attachments are transferred to the Elasticsearch search engine using the Direct Transfer technology. Set the value to N if you want to route search documents without attachments through the integration gateway. Please note that you need to review system or memory usage considerations on both PeopleSoft and Elasticsearch. On PeopleSoft, the amount of memory used by Direct Transfer for runtime data storage is dependent on the segment size and number of attachment handlers. Let's consider an example. For the default segment size of 10 megabytes and 20 attachment handlers, direct transfer would utilize an additional 200 megabytes on the PeopleSoft batch server during the sending of data. On Elasticsearch, in direct transfer, PeopleSoft sends data to Elasticsearch, so you need to review the main memory considerations on Elasticsearch. This memory is allocated on the Elasticsearch JVM and should be configured using the es_heap_size environment variable. Before you configure the es_heap_size environment variable, consider the following. The incoming data is stored in bulk thread queues on Elasticsearch during the ingestion process. The amount of memory used for this purpose is based on the bulk thread queue size. The number of parallel ingestions which can happen on Elasticsearch is based on the cores on the system. The number of parallel bulk ingestions is equal to the number of cores. During ingestion, for documents containing attachments, Elasticsearch uses a large amount of memory for document parsing. For example, to parse a large attachment of 10 megabyte size, the memory required is around 100 megabytes. Error handling. During indexing, it is possible that certain data transactions are not successful, either due to temporary system situations, for example, if Elasticsearch is performing some internal maintenance operations, or due to data issues. During this time, direct transfer stores this data into an error table and proceeds with further indexing. After the indexing process is complete, errors, if any, can be viewed on the build index page in the previous schedule details section. An error link is also displayed in the previous schedule details section. When you click the error link, the attachment transfer exception details page is displayed. This page lists process IDs that are causing the exception along with the request from PeopleSoft and the response from Elasticsearch. You can review the errors by opening the request and response documents. PeopleSoft enables you to rerun the process from this page, but you need to consider the following while using the rerun button. Use the rerun button to resubmit the selected transactions to Elasticsearch. In the case where the maximum exceptions limit is not reached, when you select the rerun button, the transactions are directly submitted to Elasticsearch. Use the rerun button to resubmit the selected transactions to Elasticsearch. In the case where the maximum exceptions limit is not reached, when you select the rerun button, the transactions are directly submitted to Elasticsearch. In the case where the maximum exceptions limit is reached, the rerun button acts as a resubmit of the PTSF_genfeed application engine program. This means that a re-execution of the application engine program happens. A validation that an administrator can use for error handling is to check the total count of indexed documents. The total count of documents can be verified on the application engine trace file and on the Elasticsearch Interact page. A part of the application engine trace file is shown on the video. See the highlighted section that shows the total document count. In the example, the total document count is shown as 43. You can validate whether the same number of documents are indexed on the Elasticsearch search engine. To check this, you need to open the Elasticsearch Interact page, which we've discussed earlier in this presentation. Navigate to PeopleTools, Search Framework, Search Admin Activity Guide, Configuration Activity, and then Search Instance. On the Search Instance Properties page, select the Elasticsearch Interact link. On the Elasticsearch Interact page, in Service Type, select Cont. In Search Definition, select the search definition for which you want to validate the document count, and then select Submit. View the response from Elasticsearch search engine in the Result area. Validate the count value. In this example, the count is shown as 43, which matches the total document count on the application engine trace file. Please note that if duplicate documents exist, then the total count will differ. To verify duplicate documents, you will need to run the connected query associated with the search definition. Prior to running the indexing process, you need to specify the global settings on the search options page. Please note that here we specifically discuss 3 settings that are essential to the Elasticsearch search engine implementation. You will remember that earlier in this presentation we discussed a few settings that are specifically used for the direct transfer technology. Search options page. The search options page enables user to set global settings. The global settings are associated with the search instance. In this section, we'll discuss 3 settings: collate indices, number of shards, and number of replicas. Collate indices. In Elasticsearch, an index is a logical namespace. Elasticsearch enables you to group multiple search definitions as one index or a common index. The default index used with PeopleSoft is ORCL_ES_default index. Please note that all search definitions in the common index will possess the same index settings. If you want each search definition to have a unique index name, you need to answer no for this setting. If the data volume to be indexed is large, it is recommended to map a search definition to a separate index other than the common index. By mapping a search definition to a separate index, you can improve the overall performance for the search definition. On the Deploy Search Definition page, you can use the Index Settings link to override the default index setting for a specific search definition. Number of shards. Elasticsearch enables you to distribute the index data into partitions. The default value is 5 and can be overridden by selecting Index Settings on the Deploy Search Definition page. But the value of this setting cannot be changed after an index is created. Number of replicas. A replica is a copy of the index data in a primary shard. Elasticsearch uses replicas for recovery management in the event of a failure in the primary shards. The value entered here is applicable to a search instance and to the security index ORCL_ES_ACL. Replicas play an important role in a cluster. In a multi-node Elasticsearch cluster, always ensure that the replica value is set to at least 1, so that in the event of a node failure, data loss does not happen. The maximum number of nodes that can be down without loss of data will be equal to the number of replicas where replica count is less than n, that is, the number of nodes in a cluster. Please refer to the Working with Elasticsearch Clusters topic in the PeopleTools 856 Search Technology online help. You can override the value by selecting the index settings on the Deploy Search Definition page. This value can be changed anytime. To improve the performance of the indexing process, PeopleSoft Search Framework enables you to index the application data using the date range option. That is, it enables you to index smaller chunks of the application data based on a date range. Before we proceed further on this topic, you need to note the following. The date range option appears only for search definitions that are based on connected query. Indexing within a date range feature should be used for search definitions with reasonably large data volume. Set the value of partition count to 1. When you use the date range feature, the time period shown in the full indexing criteria is overridden. The date range feature is available for both full and incremental indexing. However, Oracle PeopleSoft recommends that you use it only with full indexing. After the date range and number of partition are specified, the search index build process creates a PTSF_genfeed application engine program to run the connected query. The search index build process also creates a run control ID. If the process index fails, you can use the rerun button to run the indexing process again for that run control ID. After you complete specifying your indexing information, you can run the indexing process. You can monitor the indexing process on the Process Monitor page. Troubleshooting. If the indexing process encounters any errors, please check the error link and the message log links which are displayed on the Build Search Index page. On the Asynchronous Services page, in the queue level field, select Subcontract and verify the queue status for the PTSF_ES_send_QQ. If PTSF_ES_send_Q status is new, verify whether the IB pub and subdomain is active or not and activate if required. Ensure that there are no previous error transactions with the same subqueue name. If PTSF_ES_send_Q status shows an error status, read the error message. Check the PeopleSoft message log to identify reported errors. The message log is located in this folder: PIA Home, WebServe, Domain, Applications, PeopleSoft, psigw.war, WebINF. Ensure that you set the log fence to 5. Check the Elasticsearch logs to identify reported errors. Elasticsearch logs are logged by default in the es_home/logs folder. However, you can specify the location of the log folder in the elasticsearch.yml configuration file. In this demonstration, we'll demonstrate the interaction with Elasticsearch using the Elasticsearch Interact link on the Search Instance page. This demonstration assumes the following. You're running a single Elasticsearch instance, for example, PTSF_default. You've set the application's environment, for example, HCM, ELM, and FSCM that are sharing the same Elasticsearch instance, PTSF_default. In this demo environment, we've set up two PeopleSoft applications, HCM and FSCM. On each of your application environments, search definitions and categories are deployed and indexes are generated. The Collate Indices option is set to Y on the Search Options page of the respective application environments. This will group the search definitions in the respective application environments to the default index. For example, ORCL_ES_default index _H92542 and ORCL_ES_default index _EP92552 in the demo environment. In the demo environment of HCM, we've created a separate index job_data for the job data search definition. In an earlier topic, we discussed the recommendation to create a separate index for such definitions that have large data in order to improve the search performance for the search definition and for the overall search performance. This demo attempts to discuss some of the options that the Elasticsearch Interact page provides, including the points that we've listed here. The Elasticsearch Interact link is available on the Search Instance Properties page. As mentioned earlier, in the absence of a default interface from Elasticsearch, PeopleSoft provides the Elasticsearch Interact page as a means to retrieve required information from the Elasticsearch server. You navigate to the Search Instance Properties page by selecting PeopleTools, Search Framework, Search Admin Activity Guide, and under Configuration Activity, select Search Instance. Click Search to display the default search instance. Click on the Elasticsearch Interact link. On the Elasticsearch Interact page, the URL field by default points to the host where Elasticsearch is installed. Open the Service Type drop-down list. In the topic on Elasticsearch Interact page, we've seen the purpose of each service type: cluster, count, mapping, and search. The cluster service type has several options. We'll look at some of these options. We'll also briefly look at the results provided by the other three service types. Let's select the cluster service type. You'll notice that the next field changes to Cluster API. These are the cluster APIs that are exposed by PeopleSoft, and these retrieve information pertaining to the cluster. When multiple applications share the Elasticsearch instance, you can retrieve the cluster information from any of the applications. Aliases. In the PeopleSoft implementation, a search category in the PeopleSoft search framework is mapped to an alias on the Elasticsearch server. The search categories that are deployed and indexed are listed here, along with the index to which it is deployed to. For example, in the demo environment, the PT portal registry _EP 92552 _ORCL _ES _alias is part of the ORCL _ES _default index _EP 92552 index on the FSCM environment. And the HC _HR _company _directory1 _H 92542 _ORCL _ES _alias is part of the ORCL _ES _default index H 92542 index on the HCM environment. Indices. At this point, it is important to mention that before you deploy any search definition, the Elasticsearch server will not display any data when you select the indices option as shown here. The result area displays the default indexes from both the application environments, the security index, and the separate index created for the job data search definition. Please note the following. Because the collate indices option was set to Y on the search options page, the index data of the deployed search definitions is grouped in the single default index for each environment. For example, ORCL _ES _default index H 92542 and ORCL _ES _default index EP 92552. ORCL _ES _ACL. This is the security index created by the system. It also maintains search user security cache data for a specified period of time during which a callback to PeopleSoft is not required for the same user. Job _data H 92542. In this demo environment, a separate index is created for the HC _HR _job _data search definition in the HCM environment. In an earlier topic specifying search options, the steps to create a separate search index are discussed. Health of cluster. The Cluster Health API retrieves the name of the cluster, the status of the cluster in color codes of green, yellow, red, which are described in detail later in the topic on monitoring Elasticsearch in Health Center, the number of nodes, the number of primary shards, etc. Please note that you can view the health of an Elasticsearch cluster on PeopleSoft Health Center as a graphical representation. You'll find details of it later in the presentation when we discuss monitoring Elasticsearch in Health Center. The next three service types, count, mapping, and search, are associated with the search definitions and categories that are deployed and indexed on each application. These service types will retrieve information only of the search definitions and categories deployed and indexed on the individual application environment. In the demo environment, we are logged onto the HCM application, so all examples for the service types will be related to search definitions on the HCM application. Let's see the count service type. The count service type retrieves the number of indexed documents for a search definition in the environment. For example, when you are on the HCM environment, It will retrieve the number of indexed documents for the selected search definition, which is deployed and indexed in the HCM environment. The Cont service type is associated with the search definition, so the next field changes to search definition. It lists the deployed search definitions in the application environment. Let's select the PT Portal Registry search definition. Let's look at the HC_HR_company_directory1 search definition, which is an HCM search definition and is deployed on the HCM environment. The mapping service type retrieves information on attribute mapping associated with the indexed search definition in the application environment. For internal purpose, the system generates several other attributes, so you may see a greater number of attributes than what an administrator may have specified. Next, we'll select the search service type. The search service type retrieves actual application data. Search Framework provides 2 HTTP requests that can be issued to the Elasticsearch server. The GET request retrieves the application data. Let's see the results for the HC_HR_company_directory1 search definition. The results section displays all the application data because we do not provide any search parameter. Please note that the search results are not displayed as you would see the search results when you use global search. This also has security of the search user applied to it. The POST request enables you to send a JSON request to the Elasticsearch server to retrieve information that you want. Administrators who are familiar with Query DSL in Elasticsearch can trigger queries from Elasticsearch Interact page using POST. Let us now discuss the failover mechanisms provided by Search Framework and Elasticsearch. PeopleSoft Search Framework uses Elasticsearch search engine to provide functionality. Elasticsearch search engine is distributed by nature, that is, it knows how to manage multiple nodes and manages failover through primary shards and replicas. Additionally, to enable users to effectively use the multiple nodes as a failover mechanism, PeopleSoft Search Framework provides you the framework to configure multiple nodes in a search instance of your PeopleSoft implementation. Using the constructs of cluster and node of Elasticsearch, a search instance in PeopleSoft represents an Elasticsearch cluster that can contain multiple nodes. If any of the nodes goes down for any reason, PeopleSoft directs search requests to the available nodes in the search instance. When you install Elasticsearch and create a cluster with one or more nodes, and then integrate the Elasticsearch search engine with PeopleSoft through a search instance, you need to enter the node details in the search instance. If you do add new nodes to the existing cluster, then you need to add the details of the new node in the existing search instance. The typical steps would be: Step 1. Install Elasticsearch on a new node. This step is not discussed in this presentation. For details on adding a new node, please refer to the Deploying Elasticsearch in PeopleTools 856 Spotlight video, or to the 856 Search Technology Online Help, or to PeopleSoft Deployment Packages for Elasticsearch. Step 2. Add the new node to the existing cluster. In fact, you perform this task while installing Elasticsearch. This task is listed here to ensure that you add the new node to the existing cluster. Step 3. Add the details of the new node to the existing search instance on the Search Instance Properties page. Please follow the navigation to open the Search Instance Properties page. On this page, in the Search Instance Properties grid, click the plus sign to add a new row and enter data in the fields for the new node. Save the page. It's a good idea to test the availability of the new node by using the ping option available on the page. In the event that a node fails, PeopleSoft Search Framework automatically points searches to an active node in the search instance. When you have multiple nodes in a cluster and you're not using a load balancer, then you need to enter the node information in a search instance. If you're using multiple nodes in a cluster and are using a load balancer in front of PeopleSoft, then you need to ensure that you have a single node entry in the search instance. The single node entry should point to the load balancer URL. Also, the port information should correspond to the load balancer. Now that we've completed the deployment of Elasticsearch and integration with Search Framework, let us discuss how to monitor Elasticsearch in PeopleSoft Health Center. The PeopleSoft Health Center is the monitoring framework that provides monitoring and performance data of the domains within a PeopleSoft implementation, including the Elasticsearch cluster. The monitoring and diagnostic dashboards for an Elasticsearch cluster enable users to understand the performance of the Elasticsearch cluster and the possible performance issues that may arise. PeopleSoft Health Center provides a snapshot of the Elasticsearch cluster and the nodes in the cluster. However, users cannot update the state or run tasks on the cluster. The data displayed includes the number of nodes, the number of indexes, the number of documents, among other performance data. To view the dashboards provided by PeopleSoft Health Center, you need to complete some configuration steps. Please refer to the Configuring PeopleSoft Health Center topic in the Performance Monitor online help. In PeopleSoft Health Center, the application dashboard is the principal dashboard that provides a snapshot or summary of the health of the domains in the PeopleSoft environment and a summary of the Elasticsearch cluster. In this presentation, we'll consider only the ES cluster summary section. Elasticsearch cluster summary provides the name and status of the Elasticsearch cluster, the number of nodes in the cluster, the total number of documents, the percentage of CPU utilized, the percentage of heap used by JVM, and the disk space available in the cluster. Let's now consider the status color codes for a cluster. Green indicates that the Elasticsearch cluster is fully operational. That is, all primary shards and replica shards are allocated. Yellow indicates a warning. All primary shards are allocated, but at least one replica is missing. Data is not missing, so results will still be complete. However, high availability is compromised to some degree. If more shards disappear, data may be lost. Red indicates that at least one primary shard is missing. That is, data is missing, and as a result, searches will return partial results, and indexing of the missing shard will return an exception. The Elasticsearch cluster summary section enables you to drill down to details regarding the cluster and its nodes. Clicking any value in the section displays the cluster dashboard, and clicking the More link in the Node Summary section displays the Nodes dashboard. We'll discuss each of these dashboards. To view more details of the cluster, click any of the values in the ES Cluster Summary section. The cluster dashboard is displayed. While the ES Cluster Summary section provided you a high-level information on the cluster dashboard provides details about the cluster, nodes, and indices. On the cluster dashboard, the cluster summary section provides additional information on the shards and replicas, the type of nodes, and the cache details. It is important to note that in PeopleSoft implementation of Elasticsearch, an Elasticsearch cluster contains only master data nodes. A master data node acts both as a master node and a data node. That is, it maintains the metadata of a cluster and it also stores data. Node summary section provides details of a node, including the number of documents present in the node. Indices summary section provides details such as the number of documents in an index, the number of documents in each indexed search definition, and the primary and replica shards of the node. Node dashboard. To view the node dashboard, you need to click the More link in the Node Summary section. Node Dashboard. Summary. The Summary section of the Node Dashboard provides general information on the Elasticsearch server, which are useful for debugging purposes. JVM section. The JVM section of the Node Dashboard provides critical information about the JVM that is running the Elasticsearch server. It is important to note the values in this section, particularly the value for the heap user parameter. File System section. The File System section provides statistics on the file system in the node, including number of documents, available disk space, etc. Index Activity section. The Index Activity section provides aggregate statistics for all indices on the node. Cache Activity section. The Cache Activity section displays details of the cache in the node, including field size, cache size, number of field evictions, number of cache evictions, etc. Network section. The Network section provides statistics of the HTTP port. This is usually port 9200, which is the default port for Elasticsearch. This section also includes information on the total number of open ports and the ports currently open. Before we complete this session, let's have a quick look at the various sources of information available on PeopleSoft Search Framework and Elasticsearch. We maintain a dedicated homepage for Elasticsearch on My Oracle Support. The doc ID is 2205540.2. This document contains all documentation, including installation, implementation, troubleshooting, and support related to Elasticsearch and Search Framework. The homepage also provides links to PeopleSoft application updates and fixes that are required for implementing Elasticsearch. The PeopleSoft Information Portal provides links to Elasticsearch videos and Elasticsearch concept page.